Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're so excited to have you all here for today's session called CK-12 Simulations and PLIX Interactives. We're coming to you live from the CK-12 offices in Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm Katie H., a member of the CK-12 team, and I'll be moderating today's webinar run by Katie S. and Sonia. A reminder that this webinar is a core session for the CK-12 Certified Educator Program. So there is an assignment for the session, which can be found in the CEP FLEXBOOK. Please be sure to preview the questions and make sure you are set to answer them, as you will need to work your way through the assignment in one sitting once you click Start Quiz. Like our other sessions, we encourage you to use the chat window in Zoom to connect with others, making sure to select all panelists and attendees, while the Q&A window is for questions for the CK-12 team. This will help us track answers and make sure we get to all of your questions. We have created a handy resource page for this webinar session. You can find it at the tiny URL listed on the screen, and we'll also put the link for today's resource in the chat window right now. And I think PLIX Sims or Sims PLIX, if both of them don't work, we'll get the other one set up shortly. And it's a reference page that you can use to follow along during this presentation, or it can be printed if you'd like at a later date for use then.
Thanks, Katie H. And thank you to everyone who joined us today for today's session on CK-12 Simulations and PLIX Interactives. Today, we are going to highlight 3 different types of interactives. We will scale up from the manipulatives found throughout our latest FLEXBOOKS, FLEXBOOKS 2.0, to the diverse PLIX to the full portal simulations. The interactives in FLEXBOOKS 2.0 allow students to actively experiment with concepts within the course itself. We will highlight Science and Math PLIX, which stands for Play, Learn, Interact, Explore. This tool allows users to animate ideas through simple interactions. Also, we'll be discussing our science simulations, which enable learners to discover the scientific principles that govern a real-world setting in a fun and interactive way. Before we get into the core content of the webinar, we'd like to find out a little bit more about your familiarity with these interactives. You'll see a poll here in a few seconds that'll let you, that will prompt you to respond to a question. So here's the question. How familiar are you with CK-12 simulations and PLIX interactives? You can select all answer choices that apply. I'm new to them, I use PLIX occasionally, I use simulations occasionally, I use PLIX frequently, I use simulations frequently. I'll pause for a few seconds to let you finish answering this poll. Remember, please select all that apply to you. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So it looks like many of you are new to our interactives, so this is a great time for us to tell you all about them. Okay, so let's move on and discuss interactives. In this first section of the webinar, I'll discuss new features in CK-12's interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0. Next, we'll talk about PLIX Interactives and PLIX Corner. Our goal is to get you ready to try interactives in your class. Okay, so CK-12 recently released interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0, which are filled with interactives. This is a section from the newly released 8th grade math course. Students can read through the text, look at pictures, and manipulate graphs, figures, tables, and equations. The interactives are often paired with sets of inline questions the students can answer to guide their learning and get immediate feedback. The courses even have full-screen interactives like PLIX and simulations. In this course, the interactives are designed to be an integral part of the lesson, not just supplementary. This is cutting-edge online educational technology. So interactive FLEXBOOKS are online courses that are populated with digital manipulatives and PLIX interactives, which we'll go into in depth later in this webinar. We currently have 8th grade Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Physics interactive courses up on the site. Each curriculum is rigorous, and the math courses are fully aligned with Common Core state standards. Like everything at CK-12, the courses are free. To find the courses, just click Explore at the top of the CK-12 homepage. When the drop-down menu appears, find the FLEXBOOKS 2.0 option. Further down the menu, you'll also see a link to the PLIX Interactives browse page, which Sonia will show you more about this later. An information page about FLEXBOOK 2.0 appears. From here, you can either scroll down or click the Get Started button when the page loads. The link takes you to a web page with the URL flexbooks.ck12.org. The functionality of the interactives are tightly integrated with each course. For example, this interactive is designed for a lesson on comparing function types: linear, exponential, quadratic, and rational. The lessons in the interactive FLEXBOOKS are also full of real-world applications in PLIX. PLIX are similar to the embedded interactives that we just looked at, except PLIX can be accessed outside of the course. PLIX have more features, and they cover a wide breadth of math and science concepts. You can learn more about the interactive FLEXBOOKS by joining another webinar, Common Core Math, on CK-12 on Friday, July 12th at 3 p.m. and on Thursday, July 18th at 9 a.m. We'll also have an advanced FLEXBOOK editing webinar on Tuesday, July 16th at 3 p.m. All right, now let's check out those PLIX. So like I said, PLIX stands for Play, Learn, Interact, Explore. It is a visual learning modality that allows users to animate ideas in a concept through simple interactions. We have over 1,140 interactives that span both math and science concepts and can be filtered by subject, keyword, concept, or standards. Also, PLIX, like everything offered by CK-12, is free to all users. All you have to do is sign into CK-12 to access them. After you've opened up a PLIX, the first thing you do is read the description on the left. The description explains what the interactive is about and provides directions on how to interact with it. Next, use the interactive by following the prompt in the instructions. In the interactive, you can explore the concept. If you need to start over, there's a refresh button at the bottom that you can use. After you've used the interactive, click the challenge button below the description. This opens up the challenge questions. The questions often build upon one another to help students reach a deeper understanding of the concept. The final question is a discussion question that you can use for a class conversation. This is a great place to think about differentiating learning by having students try the first few questions or work their way through to the higher level thinking and discussion questions. As a side note, don't worry about trying to write down all the teaching strategies we mentioned. A full list is posted here early in the chat window, and we'll also send it as a follow-up to this webinar. Along the toolbar at the top of the PLIX, you'll see that there's even more features. We'll discuss more of those features as we go. And now, let's dive into a PLIX. This PLIX is about lunar phases. The description of this PLIX includes a prompt on how to interact with it. Notice that it says to drag the red point. Moving the red point changes the phases of the moon in accordance with the labels on the slider. At the top right of the PLIX is an orange button to assign to class. You can assign PLIX to students in a CK-12 class group by clicking on that button. If you want to learn more about assignments, feel free to ask us in the Q&A window. Let's look at another PLIX for a second. Before we explore the PLIX itself, you can see in the top right the options to give feedback and adjust the size of the text by clicking the icons in the upper right corner of the screen. You'll notice that this PLIX is about rules for dilation. It has the same description and prompt area, the simple interaction, and challenge questions. The PLIX uses two of the most frequently seen question types, multiple choice and select all that apply. If students are struggling with a question, you can often see hints to help answer the questions. Note that if you get an answer wrong, you'll see the option to show the correct answer. Once again, this is a learning, not an assessment tool. So students will be able to get immediate feedback and guidance when they attempt a question. There we go. We're using a select all that apply. And looks like we missed a few, but we could still see what we missed. Students can also use the Learn More option to read about the matching concept and gain a better understanding of it. Encouraging students who are struggling to access these resources is another great way to personalize and support student learning. So now that you've seen 2 PLIX, you may be wondering where you can get your hands on them. You can use the search bar to find content and modalities, including PLIX. You can also access PLIX through the circular PLIX icon on the homepage. You can even get to PLIX from within FLEXBOOKS 2.0. For example, let's look at the geometry book. Open the book from the Browse page, scroll through the table of contents, and open up a lesson. So here's one. The Start button would open up the written lesson. Below that is listed Other Ways to Learn. The first 2 modalities here are PLIX. I can tell because the little brain icon next to the title indicates that they're PLIX. Lessons with PLIX and simulations often are listed first, or list those interactives first. You can access our PLIX through the website on any computer or tablet with a screen size of 9 inches or larger. Alternatively, you can jump directly to the PLIX Browse page using www.ck12.org/PLIX. Let's see what that looks like. So once you're on the Browse page, you have a few options. Remember to sign in if you haven't, and then you can choose your branches. This will help you filter your PLIX according to areas you're teaching. If you've done this and you want to update those branches, you could click on Change Branches. In addition to searching on the main site, you could search within the PLIX Browse page. Here you can search for title, concept, or even CCSS or NGSS standard. You can find PLIX in all branches of math and science. To achieve this depth of coverage, we've developed some really diverse PLIX. Some PLIX are exploratory based, while others check for student understanding. Some PLIX are abstract, and others are based in the real world. Let's dive into a few examples. You could share your ideas for a PLIX with the interactives team by clicking the link above the search bar. These exploration-based PLIX are sandboxes in which a student can play around and experiment with an idea. In the distance between 2 points taxi cab distance PLIX, students explore 2 different ways to find distance between 2 locations. In the Ohm's Law PLIX, students explore how Ohm's Law affects the current in a circuit. A great teaching strategy would be to have students explore PLIX and then share their different experiences and what they learned with each other. In some PLIX like these, students can get feedback to check their understanding of a concept. The structure of water PLIX allows students to rotate water molecules to form hydrogen bonds. In the law of cosines PLIX, students find the missing side lengths of triangles using law of cosines. These PLIX could be used as a review of a concept, so students could see how well they understand a concept before an assessment. In many PLIX, students can manipulate graphs, diagrams, or variables. In this sine and cosine PLIX, students can explore how the values of trig functions relate to a given angle. In the refraction band gap PLIX, users change the band gap of a substance to see if a photon can fit through. As a lesson, you could have students screenshot a few different states for a graph or set variables and explain what changed and how the change affected the graph or situation. Some PLIX use real-world contexts to teach math and science concepts. In the Rainforest Map Quest PLIX, students can locate villages on a map using a scale. In the Rate of Dissolving Sugar PLIX, students observe what happens to a sugar cube in tea as the temperature changes. For these real-world PLIX, try having students brainstorm other applications of a particular concept, or even design their own PLIX to address a concept. As you've seen throughout these PLIX, there are a number of different ways to have students work with and use PLIX. In class, as a warm-up, as enrichment, as a remedial activity, or to explore a concept. At home, as a homework assignment, or students can post answers to PLIX questions on CK-12. To differentiate instruction using challenge questions, learn more, and explorations. To foster conversation. The last question of each PLIX is a discussion question, and some lead to PLIX Corner. So I've mentioned PLIX Corner a couple of times now. Let's talk about what it is and how to find it. The CK-12 Cafe is a place where you can ask, help, and share with other users. Just click the link to the cafe in the Explore area of the CK-12 homepage to get there. We're going to enter PLIX Corner where users answer intriguing PLIX discussion questions. Here's a great example of a recent discussion in the PLIX Corner. The PLIX Science Question of the Week was from the Temperature and Temperature Scales PLIX. You can assign the PLIX featured in a PLIX Corner post and have your students join this conversation and discuss their ideas with classmates and students across the world. One of the standards of mathematical practice is construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. The PLIX Corner is a great place for students to discuss their reasoning about a topic. Each week, CK-12 features one math PLIX and one science PLIX to ask questions of the week. We've been noticing more and more classes leaving answers to PLIX questions in mass, sometimes with notes of encouragement from their teacher. If you'd like to see a specific PLIX featured that you'd like your students to respond to in PLIX Corner, let us know. On the next slide, I'll tell you how to get in touch with us. So I'd like to challenge you to get involved. Try out PLIX and the interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0. Share interactives that you love with your students and other teachers. Tell us at CK-12 what you think by reaching out to us at Facebook, Twitter, or share your idea for a PLIX. Give it a shot. All right, have fun exploring our new interactives. So I've told you a lot about PLIX. Now is your turn to find a PLIX that you could use in your classroom. Press Escape to escape from the Zoom window. Open up your internet browser and go to ck12.org. For those of you staying on the Zoom window, you can watch me find PLIX on the CK-12 site. Okay, so here we go. Our first challenge is to navigate from the CK-12 homepage to the PLIX browse page. All right, so we can either click Explore and click on PLIX here, or you could scroll down and click on this little PLIX icon here. If it's your first time on the PLIX browse page, or if you're not signed into CK-12, you'll be prompted with a tutorial on how to use PLIX. All right, everybody got it? Okay, now let's go back to the CK-12 homepage, and we're gonna try to find an interactive FLEXBOOK. So just like before, we can click on Explore, and right here in the upper left is our FLEXBOOKS 2.0. You could either scroll down or just click Get Started for an auto scroll, and you could pick any one of these. Okay, so with that, this might be a good time to stop and see what questions you have coming in about PLIX and the interactive FLEXBOOKS before we move on to the second half of this webinar where Sonia discusses simulations. Please join us back in your Zoom window to participate in the chat and Q&A.
Thanks, Katie. Looks like we have some questions in the chat window, in the Q&A window. So we have a couple questions in terms of kind of what does it look like when you assign a PLIX, and how do those play out? So do you want me to try to answer some, or you want to take some? I can ask you.
I can try taking some.
Okay. So first question, what does it look like when you assign a PLIX?
Let's try that out. So let's see, we can click on a PLIX here and open it up. And then we can assign to class. And you can select your platform. So I'm just going to go with CK-12 here. You could also use the Google Classroom. And then we have different class groups you could select. And then you could give the date that you want to assign it. And then you click Assign to Classes.
Awesome. So another question, we have kind of two questions that are tied together. One asks, can PLIX question answers be seen from the teacher? And then another one that says, if you assign a PLIX in to have them answer it in the PLIX corner, can you as a teacher see what your students post?
So first part, teachers can't see the answers that students give for a PLIX. It's very much a formative assessment piece where students have the ability to get things wrong, and it's not going to punish them. But teachers can see students' completion of the questions, so you can at least see your students went through all the questions or not. And then as for the other part, PLIX Corner, yeah. So we can go back to CK-12 homepage, and on PLIX Corner you can see anything that your students write or any of the other students around the world who could be discussing the topics with your students. And so if you notice, I clicked Explore and then Cafe, and then PLIX Corner is this one right here.
Thanks, Katie. We had a couple questions that came up asking about Google Classroom. As you saw when Katie posted up that assign option, you can definitely assign these to Google Classroom. Students do not need a separate account if you're using an integrated learning management system such as Canvas, Schoology, or Google Classroom. So whatever you could do within CK-12 for PLIX would be functional there as well. And we have a question at the top that says, can you change the questions in the PLIX? So you can't change the questions in our PLIX, but Katie was showing you that middle school math 8 book where there was a PLIX and then questions kind of below it. In our advanced FLEXBOOK editing and our customizing adaptive practice, we talked a little bit about inline questions. And so if you want to create your own questions for PLIX, we might recommend embedding just the interactive, the basic piece for a particular PLIX into a FLEXBOOK lesson and then putting your own questions there. Now those inline questions are not assigned and they're not graded, so you're not going to get kind of a report for that unless you do those questions as a specific quiz. But you can change the questions and have students explore kind of like what we have right there. And then it says, the next question that we have is, do you feel that all grade levels will engage more in PLIX? For instance, if you have elementary, middle, and high school learners, which grades do you feel PLIX will reach excellent student engagement? So maybe Katie, you can take that one.
Sure. So we do have a smattering of PLIX for elementary school, especially elementary school math, but the majority of our PLIX are really in the middle school and high school ranges. We have a considerable number, over 1,000, that cover all the branches in middle school and high school math and science. So we try to keep up high levels of interesting, engaging PLIX with scenarios that could be fun for students. So yeah, I would go for it for sure at those age groups.
Thanks. And maybe let's take one more PLIX question right now. We have, is there a place where sample uses of PLIX are being compiled? I find that many of these need additional components if you want to make them valuable learning activities. Kind of, if you're trying to use them in a larger class discussion, you're trying to do different pieces. They are kind of little quick interactives for students to work with. And he wants to post his activity. So I might recommend using the Jumpstart for Educators forum. That's really the recommended place to post anything that you want to share resources with other teachers, you want to ask questions of other teachers. And so that link is, if you go to the Cafe forum, you can see the Jumpstart for Educators section. So definitely connect with other users there, and maybe just start a thread on here's how I use PLIX, or here's how I use simulations. So I think with that, we will go from there and maybe swap over to our simulations component of this particular piece. And please continue to put questions in the Q&A window. If you put them in the chat window, we might or might not catch them. So if you want us to answer them, go ahead and put that there. There was one question we saw in chat that I'll answer because it is kind of important across our resources. And that is, are these Flash-based? All of our resources, both simulations and PLIX, are actually built on HTML5 so that you can see what they are. You don't need to install anything. You don't have to worry about any of those pieces. So don't worry about that. You can use them on a tablet or a computer and you're good to go. So let me swap over. I think I stole the screen back from Katie. And we will move into our simulations component. So I'm going to introduce Sonia, who's going to highlight our interactive simulations.
All right. Well, thank you, KDH and KDS. Great job. And it was so fun to see all of you introduce yourself in the chat window from Pakistan, India, Istanbul, Ukraine, all the way to my hometown, San Diego. Give a shout out to all those teachers at Poway Unified School District. Really great to have you on today. So I'm really excited to show you all our CK-12 interactive simulations, which we at CK-12 lovingly refer to as Sims. We offer a large collection of over 120 physics and chemistry simulations that are all tablet and laptop friendly. So one thing I just want you to note, because maybe you're sitting next to your phone and while I'm talking, you might want to look at some Sims. The Sims will only work on a 9-inch screen or larger, so tablet or laptop. And that's just to be able to interact and use the sliders. So your smartphone, you won't be able to access them, but tablets and laptops, they launch really easily, like Katie just mentioned, with one click using HTML5, no need for software. They really are a groundbreaking new type of digital learning tool, unlike anything else out there, in that they overlay the scientific and mathematical principles onto a real-world setting. We're going to see a lot of really beautiful real-world animations today. These Sims support inquiry-based learning and promote students to connect the often abstract STEM concepts with their everyday applications. They are aligned to the NGSS standards and are applicable to both middle and high school levels. They differ from the PLIX interactives that Katie just introduced in that they are almost like a portal. So they really are meant to pull students into this real-world setting. They allow multiple ways to interact, and they connect many concepts together. But like the PLIX and all other resources on CK-12, they are all free. So all you'll have to do is sign into CK-12 and you can launch a sim with one easy click. And in this webinar, this last part, I'm going to show you how to navigate the Sims Browse page and then help to familiarize you with the general structure of the Sims. I'll also highlight the many embedded features and resources in our Sims. I'm also going to share some ideas I have for using the Sims as an instructional tool in class or at home to differentiate instruction and to dispel some common science misconceptions. I'm really excited to tell you about the Sims that we now offer in different languages. And we also recently added embed codes for you to use. And I'll end the webinar by going live, and I'm going to show you some of the Sims that are found embedded in our new Science FLEXBOOKS on the 2.0 platform. So my main goal, really, like Katie's, is that by the end of this session, I really want you to feel excited and equipped to use CK-12 simulations with your students. So kind of my prompt for you is just as I'm going through these Sims, pick one that, you know, catches your eye and experiment with it. And think about using it in your class. And like Katie said, that's really the goal. And I'm even going to take it a step further and challenge you. Try to use it in your class during that first week of school. I think it'll be really fun. So that's my challenge for you today. All right. So this I just wanted to share with you all because I used to be a classroom teacher, and this is actual picture taken of my whiteboard. I mean, now it's like 5 years ago. And I basically, you know, sadly, I spent my entire lunch period drawing this image for my students, right, with my whiteboard and marker. Those were my tools, trying to relate the law of reflection with what they see in a mirror. So this is a person looking in the mirror and then explaining the physics behind the virtual image of the reflection. So thankfully, CK-12 has provided a much more compelling learning tool, and now we teachers have time to eat our lunch. Woohoo, right? So here is what we call the prom night sim, and it really is a result of the beautiful collaboration between science teachers, animators, and software developers at CK-12. So like all sims, it begins with an intriguing question. So what size mirror do you need to see your entire body? And then it advances through a video kind of explaining the basic concepts and posing questions to get students to think about the underlying physics in this real world scenario of kind of getting ready for the prom and looking in the mirror. And then you'll see after the introductory video, it brings students into what we lovingly refer to as the sandbox. So just as a kid at a park in a sandbox, right, you're meant to play around, jump in, discover new things. So you could see you have interactive sliders and then responsive animations in this sim, and also you'll have responsive graphs in many of the other sims. And this really will illustrate the relationship between the sliders. The next, there are a series of 3 questions that can be answered by adjusting the sliders. So we call them slider-based questions. And then each simulation ends with a set of real-world examples that invite the student to think about applications of the underlying concepts in other physical situations to promote continued learning. So after previewing this sim, this is just a sneak peek of what you're about to see in our large collection. I hope you're really excited to see more. So I'll now talk kind of about how to access the sims on our site. So as you can see, kind of the theme probably from your experience in the CEP program is that Explore menu is really vital. So there's the orange Explore menu. You can click, and then Simulations. And then the other way is if you scroll further down, there is the simulations icon on the bottom left-hand corner. So that's another option other than the Explore bar. And you can see the PLIX icon next to it. So that will all bring you into what we call the Sims Browse page. So here's what the Sims Browse page looks like. And at the bottom left corner, I have just a shortcut. So if you want to post that on your class website or share it with your students or colleagues, that's a simple shortcut for you to get to the Sims Browse page. And really, in our collection of over 120 Sims, we have bobsleds, you can see music recitals, swimming, let's see, archery, you know, here's the Everglades airboat, airplanes, and more. So all of these sims really take place in these beautiful real-world settings that are hard to replicate in the classroom. So going back to the Sims Browse page, our collection of sims are currently divided into 2 branches. So you can see right now on the top left-hand corner, I'm on the physics simulations branch, or the physics tab. And the first row features 3 of my favorite sims for topics commonly taught in a physics classroom around the beginning of the school year. So on the far left, we have driverless car, and this sim poses the opening question, how does a self-driving car know where to go? And it prompts students to practice vector addition in a fun way. In the middle there, we have this sim called At the Crossroads, and it can be used to teach conversions of systems of measurement. And then on the far right, we have the Erwin and Ruthie sim, and this really is one of my favorites. So it allows students to adjust the velocity of 2 racing robots, and they can learn all about motion and graphing motion. So like I said before, these are all scenarios that are really hard to replicate in the classroom. I do want to note, so even though we're like on the physics tab and these sims are formally labeled physics, really their topical coverage is broad, and we do have sims that relate to concepts regarding physical science, earth science, astronomy, and math. So I know I saw in the chat a lot of you, are teaching different subjects. So even if you're not a physics teacher, I encourage you to visit the CK-12 Sims Browse page, and I really am confident you'll find something that you can use for your course and level. All right, so just to be sure to convince you, I just want to highlight some sims that can be used to teach important math concepts. On the top left there is the portrait gallery sim. So this can be used to teach vector addition and important concepts related to trigonometry. Both the water fountain sim and the archery sim have to do with projectile motion and involve parametric equations. And then on the bottom right there, the stadium wave sim can be used for more complicated sinusoid problems. So like I said earlier, although these sims are just labeled physics or chemistry, there really are many that can be used to highlight the real-world applications connected to a variety of STEM concepts. Okay, so going back to the Sims Browse page, now I'm going to click on that chemistry tab so you can see that highlighted. And it's going to give you access to the chemistry sims. And many of these sims are being released. I think I just saw in the chat, someone's like, wow, there's so many more. So we're constantly kind of adding sims. And so you'll see the beginning of the full structure of the physics sims. These chemistry simulations all provide the microscopic explanations for the macroscopic observations of the world around us, right? And I know that makes you chemistry teachers out there smile, because like that is the goal, right? The first three you're looking at here on the far left is the going fishing sim. And this one's just real fun. I like this sim. Students can use it to explore what makes an object float or sink. And then in the middle, the airbag sim allows students to investigate the chemical reactions that cause an airbag to inflate. And then on the far right, the hot pack, cold pack sim provides just really a nice everyday model for students to associate with exothermic and endothermic reactions. So I hope you'll explore and experiment with these new sims in your classroom. And also, I would love for you to provide us with your feedback. In every sim, and I'll show you this later on, there is a link on the toolbar that says feedback, and you can let us know what you think and how it went. And I read these every Monday morning, and our team takes your feedback, and we try to implement any suggestions and improve these sims for your use. So please let us know how it goes. Okay, so now back to kind of how you're going to use the Browse page to find a sim. So there are many ways to really kind of find a sim for your particular class. Easiest, you could just scroll down. You'll see on the left there, it says search for simulations or concepts. You could just type in a word like displacement, and then all the sims that have to do with that, or velocity. And then you can also use the filters on the left there, and those will kind of help you, give you ideas of how you can filter the sims. So you can filter the sims by concept or NGSS standards. And these concepts and standards are also listed under each simulation. So you can see that in the light blue under the sim. All right. The next kind of cool feature on our Browse page are the sim worksheets. So there is a worksheet link under each sim, and you're just going to want to make sure to click like on the arrow right there, and that will pop it up. So when you click on the worksheet arrow icon, a worksheet version of the sim pops up that you can easily download as a PDF. And there's also a way to access the worksheet from within the sim that I'll show you later. And so here's what it looks like when you click that arrow, it kind of pops up. So there are a variety of ways in which these worksheets can be used, but I think it's most important to note that all of the embedded features and content in the sims are accessible in worksheet format here. So if internet is an issue at your school, or you'd like a handout that will help guide your students in using the sims, or simply if your students just respond better to turning something in. I know mine did. These worksheet resources are currently available for all the physics sims, and chem sim worksheets will be coming down the road. So here are some images to get you familiar with the 4 main windows, and this is our ramp and piano sim. And this sim is about force, distance, and work, and how the relationship can be manipulated by using a ramp. So I used to begin my physics curriculum with investigating simple machines, and I really think this is a great sim to introduce students to important concepts related to physics. One of the most unique things about our sims are our consistent structure. So basically every sim in our 120 collection catalog starts with a big question and introductory video. Then you move on to that interactive sandbox environment. In the physics sims, you'll find many slider-based questions, and I think chemistry sims, they're kind of starting to roll those out. And then each sim ends with other related real-world examples. So I really think this is important, because you'll find that after using 1 or 2 sims, your students will no longer have to focus their attention on how to use the digital tool, and will be able to focus on learning the concepts instead, which, you know, I think is much more important in my personal view. So I'll talk more about each of these windows. So the first one is the introductory video of the hot oven sim. And the hot oven sim enables students to explore the difference between heat, temperature, and thermal energy. So like all the sim introductory videos, the font size can be changed to the A's up there. You can play or pause the video at the center right there. And you can repeat, and for repeat users of the sim, the video can also be skipped. Those are some of the features for the intro. So one idea is for teaching strategies is I might project this question on the overhead projector, right, on the screen in my classroom, and prompt students to complete a quick write as a warm-up activity. So the bell rings, they have their notebooks out, the question's projected. Students put their pen to paper for 3 minutes, writing whatever comes to mind in response to this question. You know, here it is. What is the difference between temperature and heat? And then I could imagine pressing play through the video, and we could just have a really nice discussion about this kind of big question. All right, so the next kind of scene in the sims are the interactive sandbox environment. And this is the cliff diver sim that allows students to explore the acceleration due to gravity. So in every interactive sandbox, you'll almost always see 1 or 2 graphs at the top representing the situation, as well as sliders that allow you to manipulate the basic parameters, and a play button. So one thing to note is that each slider has an information tag that can be activated to learn more. And the graphs have many features activated by the gear symbol. So users can get info about the graph. They can zoom in to see the graph. They can hide the graphs. And you can even compare 2 trials by clicking on Enable Last Run. So here you see there, info, zoom, hide graph, enable last run. So here's just some ideas I have. I think it really would be an awesome exercise to, again, project the sandbox on a screen in class, maybe pass out whiteboards to groups of 4 students. And I would set the sliders a certain way, right? And then I would have them sketch their predictions of what the graphs might look like. Okay, and then, you know, in a big dramatic reveal, you can unhide the graphs and press play and see how their predictions played out. So I hope you try that one out in your class. All right, so now the information bar at the top of every sandbox can be used to differentiate instruction. And that's really what I want you to think about. So that toolbar really helps to differentiate instruction. For students who are stuck or need more help, there is a tab labeled tutorial. Now this is really cool. It opens to a 3-minute YouTube video screencast, and it carefully details how the simulation works. And I made all those 100 videos, so I hope that you will check them out. In addition, there's always a link available to concepts that highlight the relevant material in the CK-12 website. And then for students who are up for a challenge, the Challenge Me questions provide a few related deep thinking, open-ended questions. So really in this one interactive environment, students who are struggling are supported, students who are ready to move on are challenged, and all students are prompted to be curious and have fun. Now this is a snapshot of the slider-based questions from the Sprinter Sim, which allows students to explore friction by investigating why sprinters wear spiked shoes for running. So you'll receive immediate feedback on your submission, and there's even a way to create a new slider-based question so you as the instructor can tailor the sim to your specific course or level. And I could envision prompting students to answer the slider-based question in pairs in class, or I really think this might be a nice homework assignment. You know, they're included in the sim worksheet with sufficient space below each question to provide room for students to record their answer and reasoning. And then that last kind of window in the sim are the real world examples. And these are the real world examples at the end of the Gone Fishing chemistry sim about density and floating. So I think it'd be fun to prompt students to do further research on one of these examples for homework and share their findings with their classmates the next class period. You can also customize the simulation by adding more real-world examples. Another idea would be to prompt students to create their own example and upload it here, adding to our bank of community contributed content. So I actually introduced this idea during a previous webinar, and I was really excited to find that a few teachers actually took me up on it, which is cool. So if you click on the community contributed content of the Gone Fishing sim right there, you're going to see these are the examples. Why does oil float on top of water and ping pong balls? Those are actually all student generated real world examples. And I just think students would get a thrill out of seeing their work displayed like this for, like I said, the entire world to see. So I hope you'll try it out at the first weeks of school and let us know about it. So speaking of all these real world applications, I know many of you are, testing out or implementing an NGSS curriculum, and I believe our simulations serve as great resources for NGSS. So here's just some examples of sims with this great big question. So Journey to Mars. Why do trips happen to Mars during certain launch windows? The Diamond Cut sim. Why do diamonds sparkle? Touchscreen sim. How does a capacitive touchscreen work? And then wind turbine. How efficient is a wind turbine? You know, really, I think like the challenge of NGSS is how to present the right phenomenon to elicit the right questions from students to meet the standards, you know, and all with the goal of sparking curiosity and allowing students to discover on their own. And I really think these sims can help you meet this challenge and will, can easily serve as phenomena in an NGSS course. All right, so in addition to connecting science to the real world, our sims can also be used to make the invisible visible and dispel some of those deep-rooted science misconceptions. Because I know that's really the goal of all you science teachers out there, is to kind of like get at those misconceptions and dispel them. So there's just some great examples here. Mass and weight are the same thing. Check out that astronaut training chamber sim. There's actually this list is posted in the resources section of your CEP FLEXBOOK. And I'll show you kind of where to access that. So no need to like freak out and take a screenshot right now. I have a nice pretty PDF with the links of these sims and their related misconception for you in the Sims webinar lesson of the CEP FLEXBOOK. Another exciting announcement here is we've had physics teachers from around the world volunteer to help us translate our sims. We've had Korean, German, Chinese, Polish. There's also a help us translate link you can see on the right that you can provide us with your contact information. And we would just be so grateful for any help you could offer in translating our sims. It's really central in helping us achieve our mission of providing free, high-quality physics resources for all students around the world. So if you're interested, click that Help Us Translate and help us with this project. And then one thing I'd like to show you is it's a really cool feature we recently released, is that you can now have access to the embed code. So on the 3 dots on the top right-hand corner of every sim, if you click that, you'll see an embed option. And then if you click the embed option, it'll open up to a window with an embed code. You know, looks very similar to that YouTube embed code, and you can copy and paste it wherever items can be embedded. And as Katie mentioned, CK-12 recently released the interactive FLEXBOOKS 2.0, which are filled with the interactives, and we'll take a look at those now. So we currently offer 6 science FLEXBOOKS on our new 2.0 platform. And as you can see here, the only FLEXBOOK with the title interactive, right, formally in the title, is that physics FLEXBOOK. And that's because almost every lesson of the physics FLEXBOOK has an embedded PLIX or sim interactive, as well as PLIX or sims attached as related modalities. So our team is currently working hard on continuing to embed the sims and PLIX in the other science FLEXBOOKs, such as the chemistry, physical science, as well as developing new interactives for the biology and life sciences, with the goal of making these FLEXBOOKs really exploratory digital textbooks. So I'll hop on our website now and show you some of these at this time. And as I'm demoing these books, please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A, and Katie will prompt me to answer them as I go, or at the very end of my quick demo. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it real short here because I know we are approaching the end of our webinar. So let me just show you one quick lesson. So here I am on my CK-12 homepage, and I am gonna go to physical science right here. What are you looking for today? Physical science. All right. And then I am going to scroll down to work in machines, lucky number 13. And I'll click on the lever. Lesson 1310 of physical science. So here you can see we have to start the reading or other ways to learn. So here's the seesaw simulation and a lever PLIX, as well as a few videos and a real-world application. So they are tagged as related. And then also, let me just show you what the FLEXBOOK 2.0 embedded interactives look like. So here we have cool videos, beautiful chart of the 3 classes of levers, and then a little prompt, launch the simulation to see how a seesaw functions as a first-class lever. So the big question, can Sarah lift her mother on a seesaw, is actually exposed from within the reading. And then this is so cool. I can launch this sim beautifully right from within. And you can see sliders, responsive animations, and even interactive graphs. The worksheet can be accessed from right within the sim. And then I'm going to actually go back to my read, and I have not lost my place at all. How cool is that? And let me just show you further down, I have a PLIX embedded in this read. So same thing, I'm going to launch, and this PLIX has to do with how our arms function as a lever. And so you can move your wrist and kind of where's the input force, output force, and answer those PLIX questions. And then again, click out of it, and I am right back in my read. Last thing I'm going to show you here is, so here I am in my lever reading of my physical science FLEXBOOK 2.0. I'm going to click that grid over here. And from the grid, if I hit related content, I have access to the sim, PLIX, those videos, and RWAs. And what you'll notice, one thing I just want you to say is when you launch the sim from within the read, you won't see that toolbar with the YouTube video and the concepts and a lot of the feedback. So the toolbar is minimized when you launch from in the read. But when you launch it from here, the related content, you'll see the full sim where you can assign the class, the concepts. There's that feedback where you can talk to me. And then again, the tutorial YouTube video that has this really cool short video of a screencast explaining kind of how to use the sim and the concepts. So with that, I'm going to hand the mic back to Katie. And
thanks, Sonia. Actually, if you want to stay on that page for a sec, I'm going to have you just kind of pull up a couple things while you're there. So one, we had some questions about embedding stuff. So if you can just once again click on that like little ellipses option to pull the embed code for simulations.
No problem. So okay, just so everyone knows, I'm in the sandbox of the Seesaw Sim. That's a mouthful. And here's the toolbar up here, and these 3 dots. Click on them, and there's many options here, but one is embed. So 3 dots, embed. Then I click on it, and basically what I would do is I would copy this and paste it wherever there's an opportunity to paste an embed code.
Great. And then I'm going to just kind of talk through a couple of things, but if you want to pull up the PLIX browse or the Sims browse page for a second, we had a bunch of different questions that asked about like, are there life science sims or different pieces? We are working on currently our chemistry sims. I know we're moving forward and kind of looking into options on what would be next. But we did have one on earth science. And if I remember correctly, some of those filters have the earth science filters. Is that correct? Like for the standards?
Yes. So we have for NGSS, the Earth and Space, we have a filter for that. And so you can see here that many of these, Newton's Canon is a great one. It actually has an exact question from NGSS Earth Science curriculum, but many of these can be used for Earth Science. And then just to note that PLIX really has individual PLIX for all branches. So although, like you said, you can kind of filter our sims for things that relate to earth science, our PLIX here, let me just show you, have PLIX specifically for that branch of earth science. So here you can see biochem, physics, and then earth science here. And these all were made for specifically an earth science curriculum.
Okay, I think what I'm going to do, because we're hitting the hour mark, is I'm going to steal the screen back for a second. We're going to do a couple wrap-up pieces, and then I know that some people had questions on embedding PLIX, and because that's slightly different, I'm going to pass the screen over when I'm done to Katie if you want to stay on and see that, and then we'll work our way through any questions. So feel free to keep putting those in there. This is a great page as a reference for you. As you've seen, PLIX and Sims are just kind of parts of our full set of robust resources. If you want to see an overview of all of them, I definitely recommend going to ck12.org/overview, or in that Explore menu, clicking on CK-12 resources, because that will give you additional information on our FLEXBOOKS, our practice, our learning management systems, and our cafe forum. They're all in there. So everything else that we've been referencing can be found here. I would also recommend maybe that you join us for our Teaching Strategies webinar and our Common Core Math webinar. I actually think they're both tomorrow this week, and then we'll host them again next week. That Teaching Strategies really expands on what Katie and Sonia have been talking about for teaching strategies for using PLIX and Sims to all of our resources. And then the Common Core Math one really digs deep into those interactive math resources, even if you're not using Common Core in your state or district. We do have a new offering this summer, our case study offering, and the first one of those I believe is right after this one at about 11 a.m. and that's specifically to use CK-12 to address NGSS. So for all of you science teachers, we welcome you to come back and join us in a little bit and have that conversation. We'll have a couple guest educators with us for there, and then we have 3 more next week on adopting CK-12, using it in a homeschool environment and in independent schools. And then we've been referencing all these different resources, our feedback form, which we encourage you to use, our reference sheet for this thing, your assignment, but you don't need any of these links. All of this stuff can be found in that CAP Flexbook. So even if you're not joining us for the whole program and need to do any of the assignments, we definitely recommend you use that direct link and access those resources there. So I think with that, I'm going to say thank you from my end. You are more than welcome to sign off if you need to head out. And I'm going to let Katie steal the screen back and show you kind of the difference between the two PLIX embed codes and what that might look like.
All right, hi. So I'm going to share my screen here. And let's see, I'm going to take you over to a modality that I made from scratch. This will also work in any customized CK-12 content or any read where you're looking to embed. So here I pulled up a PLIX, and if you look at these little dots right there, there's lots of options for what to do, including embed. You can embed basic. We'll see what that looks like. Copy to clipboard. And right here under basic, oh, sometimes it grays out. My little trick is I just type a little bit and then I delete it. And then I get this option back to insert edit media. And I just paste in that embed code right there. You can't see it because we're still in draft mode, but that's only the interactive piece of the PLIX. If you want to embed a tile to the entire full PLIX, you go back to this embed option in the dropdown, and you would copy the PLIX complete embed code. So then over here, insert edit media button, paste it in, and you could even preview if you want to, just see what it looks like. See, oh, there it is, yay. Insert it. And just like Sonia was showing us with the Sims, it's a very similar process. You've got your drop down here. There's your embed code. You just copy it all, plop it right in that spot, and insert it. Okay, so I'm going to keep this as a draft, and we'll open it back up and see how it looks. So here's the full PLIX tile, which when you press launch, will launch the entire full PLIX, just like that, as we've seen a few times today. All right, and I'm going to escape out of that. And then here's just the PLIX interactive piece. You still have the description here, so it still tells you what to do, but it doesn't come with like the questions and the full screen mode. And then here's your simulation, which you can also launch in the same way that you could with the full PLIX tile. One other thing that came up a while ago in the questions was about adjusting the text size. And that's actually something you can do. By clicking on this little option here, you can increase the size or decrease it depending on students' visual needs. All right, back to you, Katie.
Thanks. So we have a couple of questions. One, I just want to note, Katie was showing you PLIX embedded within a FLEXBOOK 2.0. If you're using a FLEXBOOK 2.0 on a phone, you can usually access, you can definitely access all the inline ones. You can most of the time kind of launch them. They get a little complicated using them on a phone for PLIX or Sims, depending on how you're accessing them. So if you do have a tablet or laptop, that's kind of, you'll get the full, much easier experience as you're working your way through, but there are options to kind of fudge it when you're working on a phone with a FLEXBOOK. We have a question in terms of what's the best way to figure out which PLIX or Sim to use with my many lessons. So that FLEXBOOK 2 environment, I would say, is probably your best option because those already have those curated modalities on there. They have the pieces in terms of kind of what you're looking for. So maybe Katie you can see right there, like we've already said for this lesson, we recommend this PLIX, or in this case, this simulation. So if you're using any of our FLEXBOOK 2.0 lessons, that would be a great just kind of starting place, but you're more than welcome to explore and browse through our PLIX and Sims to see what other options we have from there. And I'm going to actually ask Sonia if she's willing to jump on and steal the screen. We have two questions where where can you find the real world Sims people did offline again? And how do I add my own challenge questions to Sims? So maybe she can steal the screen and walk through kind of those last couple screens within the simulations one time and show us where all those pieces go.
Sure, Katie, I'm back on. Can you guys see my screen okay?
You're good to go, thanks.
Okay, perfect. So let me just do kind of a quick overview of the pieces. So here I am on CK-12 homepage, many ways to find a sim, but I'll stick with kind of that flow. So the Explore menu to our simulations, and this will bring us to what we're calling the Sims Browse page. And then like I mentioned earlier, the top 3, we often rotate for concepts taught generally at that time of the school year. I know everyone has different scope and sequence, but these 3 cover concepts like unit conversion, vectors, and then motion, which are usually taught at the beginning of a physics curriculum. So why don't I take a look at, like I mentioned, Erwin and Ruthie's Just Fun, 2 robots who will make it to the elevator first. So this is that intro video. Katie mentioned changing the font if you're projecting on an overhead in your class, which were some of the teaching strategies I recommended. And then there's that assign to class, which KDS showed for Sim, but you can put your instructions and assign to your platform of your choice. And then the concept bar will take you to a concept page with other content. So reading content, videos. And then we can go to the Sim Sandbox. And from here, a few of those kind of tools that we highlighted. So every slider has an information icon. So this says this slider lets you give Erwin a set of instructions about how he should run, and the velocity time graph above will reflect the profile you choose. So this will provide information about what this slider does. And this is included in the worksheet. So if you could imagine printing out the worksheet, having it next to the student as they're working on the simulation, they would have that information in kind of written format as well. And then I mentioned the gear symbol. So the gear symbol in the graphs, again, you can get information. So this is the plot of the velocity over a function of time. And this is the idea of that, the big thing in physics, right, is that information can actually be derived from a graph. Graphs have meaning. So the idea that the slope of the graph, right, it can be used to derive acceleration, and that the area bounded by the graph can be used to derive how far the robot traveled. So that is, I think, really beneficial to both teacher and student. And then just to show you, zooming in, really nice if you want to discuss this graph in more detail. And then I mentioned some ideas for hiding the graph. So if you just, let's say you're at a middle school level and you're not ready to discuss graphing motion, you can hide the graphs on any of these sims to make it more student friendly for those lower levels, 6th, 7th, 8th grade students, or even I've even had elementary school teachers use these sims and just hide the graphs and have them play. And then when you click the icon, they drop back down. Mm-hmm.
Sonia, most of the questions had to do with kind of adding their own pieces.
Oh,
so
okay,
if you can definitely talk about the difference between kind of the challenge questions at the top versus the slider questions on the next page, and then the real world application piece, because they're trying to figure out how much they can put into it themselves.
Oh, to customize. Okay, no problem. Thanks, Katie. Okay, so challenge questions are pre-written, and there's really not a customization option for these. So they but they are open-ended, and you could get creative with how you use this in the class, whether pairs of students answer or not. So these don't have a customization option, challenge me. But the slider-based questions here, you can see the plus icon. So this will allow you to create a new question, and you can type your question, And then it'll allow you to set the slider as a certain parameter. So in this window here, you do have option to add your questions to tailor it to your class. And then the other option for customization.
And so now, would those show up in that part or the next tab?
Oh, thank you. Okay, so the 3 here are CK-12 generated, and then the questions that you've contributed and published will show up as most community contributed content does on CK-12 in that second tab. So that's a great point that Katie makes. In order to see your question that you contributed, you'll have to click on this second tab. And you can see here there are other community contributed questions as well. And the same goes for this window here. So now we're on the real world applications. That plus icon is kind of your ticket to adding content to our Sims. So you can, again, upload an image, title, and description. So this, as I mentioned, we have tried to make student friendly as well. So if they want to add, students want to add their own real world connection, it's a very easy process. And you can preview it, click done, change the background color. And then as Katie mentioned, in order to see those community contributed, you click on that tab, and all of these here are student generated.
Thanks, Sonia. So all of those, as she showed, have like that image and that description. We had one last question about the questions, and I'm not sure if you know the answer to this right off the bat. If not, we can just check it out. But if a student answers questions within here, can they go back and see their answers?
Yes. Oh my gosh, great question. Okay, thank you for asking that. And thank you for all of you for staying on. Okay, so here's what it looks like. So basically, let's take a slider-based question. And what's nice is it puts you back in the sandbox. You could see it, right? And then you can try it. So I'm going to try it out, set the sliders a certain way, and then see how it works. And I'm going to press submit. Let's say I forgot what the question was. I can show it, but I'm going to press submit. Oh, I got it wrong. Dang it. Okay, so I'm going to then just show you what that will look like. It pops me back to the slider-based window, and here it says your answer. And these were my answers that I knew were wrong. So I could try again, and it will actually record that. Now, what's nice about this feature is all of our Sims are mathematically accurate. So in the Sims that have, let's say you're solving for the velocity or the acceleration, you could actually plug those numbers that come up here into a math equation, and students could solve for, let's say, the acceleration or velocity, and then go back to the sim to see if they were correct. So answers are recorded, attempts are recorded, and you just have to click on this little arrow icon to view it.
Awesome. So I think we have cleared out our Q&A window right now, but I definitely am curious the last part about viewing them at later dates. As Sonia's saying, yeah, you can still see kind of what that looks like. And if you guys have further questions, you're welcome to email us at jumpstart@ck12.org. We can always pass you on to our interactives team if something's not working. I know our physics sims are kind of fully there with all the worksheets and all the pieces. We're working through that for chemistry. But if there's something that's coming up, just let us know and we will go from there. But with that, I think we're going to sign off and get ready for our case study in about 45 minutes. Have a good one.